Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Amateur Art TV, the second channel of Amateur Art Studios, where I like to give my opinions on various topics concerning the NBA. And right now, the biggest thing to talk about is, of course, the NBA Finals. I'm going to weigh in on YouTube, which I have not done so yet on any of my channels. But if you like what you see from today's video, then be sure to drop a like to help spread the good word of this channel. Maybe some other people will see this video, want to click on it, and want to subscribe. And if you are one of those new people, consider subscribing to this channel for some general NBA content in a little bit of an informal approach, in contrast to the formal approach I take to my main channel, Amateur Sports, where I do Raptor-specific content with over 9,000 subs. You can check that out with the link in the description. But today, I do want to discuss the NBA Finals. We're getting ready for Game 5, and I'm wearing a hat so that it seems like this is a different day than my previous video. But in reality, I'm recording them back-to-back. Nonetheless, I do want to give my thoughts and opinions on the NBA Finals. As you know, or if you don't know me, I hate the Boston Celtics. So I'm going to do my best to withhold any sort of bias as it comes to this, because the Boston Celtics, I believe, are the second best team in the NBA going into this playoffs. You know what? I would have said third best team going into this playoffs. I really like the Phoenix Suns' chances of winning the chip. That obviously didn't happen. I really like the Bucks to come out of the East. That didn't happen because the Celtics beat them. And I said the only team beating the Bucks is the Celtics. With a healthy Middleton, maybe there's something different, but the reality was he wasn't healthy. The Celtics took advantage, and here they are. I believe they are better than the Golden State Warriors. I believe they have shown that in probably all 4 games against the Warriors. But here they are at 2-2, and the Warriors have now retaken home court advantage. Before the NBA Finals, I think it was right before the series ended against the Heat, so I didn't even know the Celtics would get out of that series. I said the Celtics were the better team than the Warriors. So about a week before the NBA Finals, I had the Celtics winning the entire thing because their defense was just too good. It was the best in the league. It's one of the greatest defenses that I personally have ever seen. It's probably one of the better defenses all time, if I'm being honest. Like, the Celtics defense is absolutely incredible. There's no disputing that. And against the Warriors, I thought it would be a real menace, and it has been. It clearly has been, especially in that Game 3. You can even talk about the fourth quarter of Game 1 as well, where it was just absolutely phenomenal. Just lockdown defense, and the Warriors, for a lot of the game, other than Steph Curry, did not have any sort of answer. But the one problem that is holding them back, I find, and this is a problem that actually made my opinion change in the NBA Finals. So, during that Celtics series against the Heat, I'm like, they are going to beat the Warriors in 6 games. The Celtics are going to beat the Warriors in 6 games. But then as I watched the Celtics falter in Game 6 at home against the Heat, and as I watched the Celtics nearly blow an 11-point lead with like less than 4 minutes to go in Game 7, I went like, this Celtics team, for as good as they are, can lose a game within a quarter. 1 quarter of the game, they can lose it. They can play better for 3 quarters, but that one bad quarter, they lose the game. That happened a couple of times against Miami, why Miami ended up winning 3 games. I thought the Celtics were miles the better team, and I think for a lot of it, they showed that, but the Heat just hung around and were able to snatch those games. Same, not to the same degree with the Warriors, but I find that there are some cases where the Warriors just take over a quarter. We'll go to Game 2, where the Celtics have a great first half. It's a close game, but ultimately they're in control of the game. And then the third quarter, the Warriors just demolished them. They run them over. And fourth quarter was basically the entire thing was garbage time. So I was like, all right, we'll take our 1 win away from home, go home, and hopefully take 2 of those, make it 3-1. Didn't happen in the end. But regardless, what I'm trying to say is, because the Celtics were so prone against the Heat to shutting down for a quarter, and the Heat weren't good enough to make them pay consistently enough to win that series, I changed my opinion in the finals like a couple of days before. I'm like, if the Heat are going to give the Celtics that much problems, like, the Warriors are going to make them pay even further than the Heat did. And I think part of that has reigned true because of the outstanding play of Steph Curry. But honestly, like, this Warriors team has not been as good as I would have expected in the finals, other than Curry. Like, Wiggins was phenomenal in Game 4. He was looking like prime Dennis Rodman out there, mixed with a guy who can actually score still. And Klay Thompson has been improving and whatnot. But to be honest, like, if Steph Curry doesn't have that great of a game, the Warriors are toast. Jason Tatum, who has had some not great performances in the finals so far, especially that Game 1. I don't think he was particularly that good in Game 4 either. But when he plays bad, his teammates bail him out all the time. If Steph Curry plays bad, I don't think anybody's bailing him out. And the Warriors are going to lose that game. The series for the Warriors relies pretty much solely on Steph Curry, where Boston have a lot of guys they can rely on. That would suggest that the Celtics should be the better team in this equation, but they are finding a little bit of an inability to put the Warriors to bed as a result of having these cold stretches. And it happened again in Game 4. I would have said, again, over the course of Game 4, the Celtics were in control of the first 3 quarters, despite the close score. It just seemed like the Celtics were cruising, and the Warriors were consistently being made to catch up and just kind of hang on as long as possible until they could hit a bunch of big shots in the fourth quarter. But the reality is the Celtics threw that game. They absolutely shut down in that fourth quarter. It was like that middle quarter section. They were up, I believe it was 94-90. And then the Warriors went on a little bit of a run. A little bit before that, actually, the Warriors went on a 7-0 run. And they ended up Celtics were up 94-90. The Warriors, I think they get like a floater from Curry, and then Klay Thompson's just 3 to put the Warriors up. I don't think they ever weren't leading for the rest of the game. But what I'm trying to say is there was a big pocket where the Celtics had a bunch of good looks, and none of those shots were falling until it was 100-94. Then Al Horford hit a 3 to make it 197, but at that point, the Warriors were rolling. And, well, actually, now that I think about it, the Celtics didn't manage to score again for the rest of the game. It was a horrible cold stretch for the Celtics in what honestly could have wrapped up the series. Like, not your fourth win. We've seen a 3-1 lead being blown in the finals by one of these teams. But, 3-1 lead, pretty foolproof. Celtics are going to win that series. Warriors steal it, make it 2-2, retake home court. So I believe at this point, I'm not trying to always switch up here. Before the series started, I said Warriors in 6. A week before the series started, I said Celtics in 6. Right now, because we've seen the way the games have transpired, I think we've seen evidence to really make a different opinion. After 4 games, I would say both coaches have played their hands. You know what each team has. You know what you need to do to combat it. It's how you're going to execute. This is where it really becomes a little bit of a chess match, because all these little intricate details can shift a series. We've been thrown a little bit of a curveball here by watching Draymond get benched in the fourth quarter. That was something different. So we'll see if that continues in Game 5. I think it will. But we've pretty much seen everything both coach has at their disposal to offer in this series. So Game 5 is where you really get a test of what the coaches are made of, which is really exciting. Game 5 might be one of the better games in the series. Game 7s are very close knit. Typically, Game 7s kind of suck for quality because I guess everybody's so nervous. If you remember when Cleveland overturned that 3-1 deficit, that fourth quarter was just horrible basketball. But it was also I think the best quarter of basketball I've ever watched because of how close it was and how much was on the line for the city of Cleveland, for the Warriors trying to start this dynasty, only having 1 chip at that point. The Warriors trying to start this dynasty. Are they going to blow a 3-1 lead? Nobody was hitting any shots, but it was so entertaining to watch. Game 5 is where you really get good basketball, in my opinion. Now we're probably going to see a 87-85 final score dud because I've said that. But I think the point I'm trying to make from this video is I believe the Celtics have showcased they are better than the Warriors. And I think they should have won at least 3 of these 4 games, possibly all 4 of these games. But that's what happens in sports. The smallest little things kind of tip the scales in favor of one team or another. But the fact that the Celtics have so many guys they're relying on right now, and the Warriors just don't have that. What's holding the Celtics back is having that Steph Curry. Now, for Jason Tatum, this is the first time he's been in this situation 100%. And Steph Curry has faltered in some finals before, especially late games, late in the series. His inability to make big shots, I've called that into question. Jason Tatum, I've said a lot of bad things about Jason Tatum in the past. I've opened up to the fact that this guy is pretty much a superstar, maybe just under or just inside, but I think the argument is there, and I respect both sides of that argument. Maybe if you'd have him higher, I respect that argument. But when Jason Tatum is a bad game, he isn't called into question or scrutinized as much as some other players, like your Paul Georges of the NBA, because the Celtics are so good. When he's not playing well, Jaylen Brown is. Derek White in the playoffs has been. Al Horford, game 1, dropping 26 points after Tatum shot 3 for 17. So Jason Tatum, if he steps up and just delivers in the clutch the way we've seen, legacy's been built from. If he does that, he builds that, Celtics are winning the series in 6. They're going to win the next 2 games. We haven't seen that yet. And that's just kind of what's holding this Celtics team back. Who is the guy going to be in the clutch circumstances? When the Raptors won the chip, as much as it was a team effort, a lot of it came down to Kawhi, here you go, get us the fucking bucket. Or if you go to even the way Fred VanVleet was playing, especially in that game 6, the championship clinching game for the Raptors. Game 6, the end of the game was give it to Fred and get out of the way. Warriors don't really have that. The Celtics don't really have that. The Warriors have it. Curry does it. Give it to Curry, get out of the way. And that worked in game 4. Curry won them that game pretty much, with insane rebounding by Andrew Wiggins, a couple of big shots from Clay, a good offensive rebound by Draymond Green, and assist to Looney. But it was the Curry show. The Celtics, even in the games they've won, I haven't really seen the big buckets coming from that source. And I feel like as good as, the team dynamic is and how important the team dynamic is, when it comes to these playoff games, that one guy who's going to will you over the line is so, so important. And for Jason Tatum, I believe he's fully capable of doing it because we've seen it throughout so many games. But is he going to show it in the finals? If he does, good night, Warriors. If he doesn't, Warriors might still lose this series in 7 games. But that is the one separation I see. Because the Celtics, again, to close out, I believe are the, wouldn't say far superior team, but I think there's a sizable gap in what they're doing compared to what the Warriors are doing in this series. So if they find that little switch, Jason Tatum, whoever, maybe it's Jaylen Brown, they find that little switch to just dominate in the clutch, this series is done. But 3 games, a lot can happen, especially with 2 games in Golden State. That's just how I feel about this series in general. I called Jason Tatum out a little bit. I'm not saying he's incapable of being that guy. He hasn't been it yet. He's fully capable of doing it. My question is, what will he do? Will he be able to put the Celtics over the line? I'm just very interested to see. The dynamic of this finals has been so fun, so interesting. Even in the blowout games, you have a close 2 quarters at least. It's not like the for game 1, the Celtics won by double digits. They were down by 15 at one point. Game 2, the Warriors take over the third quarter. The first quarter was very close. It wasn't a blowout end to end. So even in those big games, the games where there's a big discrepancy in score, there still are some entertaining factors of the game. And the storylines building from game to game have been excellent. And I'm just excited to see where this one goes tonight. So thank you so much for tuning into Amateur TV. I don't really know. I guess my ultimate goal for this video was to kind of give you my thoughts on the NBA Finals. I don't think I really had an overall point. I guess my overall point is Jason Tatum that guy? I think he is, but he's got to do it. So thank you so much for watching the second channel, Amateur TV. Appreciate you sticking around, subscribing to this channel, this new channel, new-ish. And hope to see you again at the other one. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed and consider subscribing for more content just like this. Make sure you are subscribed to the main channel as well on Amateur TV, and I will see you again next time for another video. Thank you, everybody.